Hi everyone. I'm going to show you how I take an image from Cricut Design Space and save it to my computer desktop so that I can then open it in another program to print it for my sublimation tumblers. Because if you've tried to use Cricut Design Space to print an image for a 20-ounce sublimation tumbler, you know that it doesn't work. So Um, truthfully, I can't even remember if it would work for a 15 ounce. Looks like it would. Yeah. Okay. So this image, I know that this image is low resolution. Um, the image that you're gonna see when I move over to Inkscape is my high resolution image. This was just one I was trying, and it definitely didn't work. It was created by an AI artwork generator. So anyway, but we're using it for Design Space because it's what I have installed, and isn't a design that I bought from someone else. So anyway, first place to start, get your image opened up. Make sure that, if you've got multiple things that you've got in the same image, you do what I just did. Hold your mouse button down, click like this, drag it so you cover the entire thing that you want to be printed on your tumbler. Let go of your mouse and click flatten to flatten it all together as one image. Um, Move it so that it's not covering up this down here. Okay. And then what you're going to want to do to start out is unlock the padlock and change the dimensions to match the dimensions you need your image to print at. So you need to measure your own tumblers. I see a lot of people asking in the sublimation groups, what size do people print for the tumblers? I can tell you what I print at, but that doesn't mean it's going to work for you. So I had someone that I was trying to help figuring out their sizing, and she kept telling me that what she was, that my sizes weren't working for her, and I'm like going, okay. And I said, what tumbler do is your tumbler? And she just kept saying 20 ounce. Had her take a tape measure and measure it. Come to find out, it was a larger size tumbler. So I have 20-ounce skinny tumblers I've gotten from Stainless Steel Depot. I have a 20-ounce skinny tumbler that I've gotten from another vendor. The 20-ounce from Stainless Steel Depot measures at 9.25 by 8.0 inches. The 20-ounce I got from the other vendor measures at roughly 9.5 by 7.75 ish. Okay, I can't remember exactly what it is off the top of my head. So if I just did my wraps at what I do for the 20 ounces from Stainless Steel Depot, I'm going to come up short every single time. It's going to be too long. The image will be too high, I should say, for my tumbler from the other vendor, and it won't match up in the back. So I'm going to have a big gap. That's why it's important that you measure your own tumbler, because you've got it in front of you. You're the only one who's going to know what the size really is. Okay. Once you figure that out, then you can play with your sizing of your wrap, depending on if you want an overlap or no overlap. If I'm doing a seamless design, if my tumbler is 9.25 in diameter, I'm going to want to size my wrap this direction pretty close to that 9.25. I think I do maybe 9.26 or 9.27. I can't remember what I did. in case it's not perfectly tight against the tumbler. I think I did like 9.26 when I last did a seamless. But I measure the tumbler every single time, especially seamless. I measure every tumbler. And I measure it at the top, at the rim, and at the base to make sure that there is absolutely no tapering on that thing. Because I've heard people, getting sublimation they thought was a straight tumbler. Turns out it wasn't. So, anyway, there's that. So, size this to what you're going to want to end up printing it at. That way, you have your dimensions correct and you can visually see, okay, yeah, my image looks right. It's not warped and looking weird. And then close the padlock. Okay, that way it'll lock the dimensions in. If this way too, if your image looks weird at that size, then you can fix it now. Okay, just makes more sense to me. So after you've got this set and locked, sorry, had to yawn. Click on it, bring it up as close as you can to the top of your screen, and then click on the bottom corner, hold your mouse button down, and drag it out as big as you can get it. Okay, I still leave a little bit of a gap at the top and at the bottom, and there's a reason for that. This way, with the padlock closed, my dimensions stayed the same. Okay. Click off of the design so that it takes, because you get these little boxes here. You don't want those. Click off of the design. Then open your snipping tool. If you don't have it saved down here to your taskbar, come over here to your search bar and just type in snipping and it'll pull up. I do recommend saving it to your taskbar. I use it a lot. It just keeps me from having to look for it every time. So once this little box opens up, click on New. And when your screen darkens a bit, then you're ready to snip. Just leave it on the default setting there. Take your little crosshair, go into the top corner. I'm a lefty, so I always start on the left. So get it up as close to the corner as you can without being outside of the design. Whatever you clip in this is what's going to open up in your other program. So if you've got an area on the outside of this that you don't want, that's going to factor in when you go to size your image. So if you're like out here and you highlight it, like you're like that, see that white area? That's going to be factored into your sizing and you're going to end up with an incorrect sized image. So what you want to do, is get up there as close as you can without being outside of the image. Click the left mouse button and hold it down, and then drag the crosshair to the opposite corner. Okay. And make sure again you don't have any of the outside showing. It's only your image that you're snipping. And that fine white line around it is the edge of my snipping area. So anything inside that is what is going to be my snipped image. Once you've got it correct, let go of your mouse button and then open up the snipping toolbox and it'll be in there. Okay. So now when I go to save it, and that edit in Paint is new. Didn't see that before. You can save it I save it to my desktop. If I leave it as the default thing, this is the path for where my computer is going to save it. So I know under my this PC, I've got to go into my pictures and then screenshots to find it, which would be right there. I just save it to my desktop when I'm doing this because it's easier for me. And then I can move it later after I've done what I got to do. So save it. Okay, now it's going to be on your desktop. So when you go into your other program, you'll be able to find it and open it. You can name it, obviously, before you save it, whatever you want to do. I'm using a different image for showing you this next step. So if that's all you needed to know how to do, then you're done. But I'm going to move on and show you how I open it in Inkscape to use Inkscape to print my images for sublimation. So I'm going to close this down, and you're going to notice the image is going to change because what I have in Inkscape was my higher resolution image. So when you get into Inkscape, and that's what I use, because to me, Inkscape is it's basically a free version of Adobe. I can do a lot of the things in Inkscape that I could do in Adobe. I don't have Adobe because it's expensive, and well, I've got it on another laptop somewhere, but anyway, that's beside the point. So, once you've got the image opened in Inkscape, and you have to open the image first, okay? Inkscape, by the way, free download. I think it's inkscape.org. I definitely recommend this. I feel I have more precise control in Inkscape than I do in other programs like Canva, Word, Google Docs, or whatever. You're going to have the same preciseness in an Adobe program. I don't know about others. Maybe you would in Silhouette. I really don't know because I'm very unfamiliar with Silhouette. So in Inkscape, again, open the document first, go up to File, then to Document Properties. This is a really, 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 really important step, okay? Because what you need to do is you need to set the dimensions for your workspace. If you don't set the dimensions for your workspace, your image is not going to print correctly. And you're going to either possibly lose part of your image, or you're going to have it just flat out not print correctly. All right. So just do this first. In Document Properties, Format, you want to change it to your actual paper size. I'm using 8.5 by 11. Other common sizes used for sublimation paper are A4. I've seen US Legal. And if you have a large format printer, 11 by 17. Okay. So, again, I'm using 8.5 by 11. So I'm going to select US letter. I'm going to make sure my display units is in inches because the default is pixels. So change that to inches. And orientation, I want it on landscape. Okay. If I switch it to portrait, you see my page here, how it changed? That's not going to work. You're not going to have enough room to work. So you need it on landscape. All right. After you've got that all set, click the X to get out of there because it's automatically sets it as you're doing it. Then, normally I think when you first go into Inkscape, your workspace is much bigger. So if it's too small or too big, whatever, you can change it right down here. And I'm going to make it bigger. Oops, I don't want it that big. Need it just under 100 right here for the percentage for you to be able to see this entire image, the white image on your monitor, okay? Because you'd want to see this entire, I'm going to move that out of the way a second. You need to see this entire white workspace area, right? Whatever you put inside this workspace is what is going to print when you print your image. If it's not inside this workspace, then it will not print. Okay. So the next step is to take your image And we're just going to say this came in, or this is at definitely a different size. All right, so I'm going to come up here. Padlock is unlocked. I'm going to change the length of it to 9.3, height to 8.2, because again, my tumbler is 9.25 by 8.0. I like to have a little bit of an overlap on designs where I've got a solid border here, because I know if it's solid all the way down, I know that I can overlap that and I'm just going to get a better seam. So if you're struggling with taping and getting seams that don't look good or don't match perfectly, or if when you're sublimating and you're getting, images that are not printing solid at the top or at the bottom of your tumbler, I recommend going on YouTube to the Industrial Fringe channel. Roy has a great video on taping a tumbler. He's also got a great video that he did on sublimating black images on tumblers. And they're both very, very helpful. Because if you've sublimated black and you don't get nice dark blacks like this, if it's green, you're undercooking. If it's brown, you're overcooking. And he goes over all that and gives some really good tips on how to solve that problem. Okay. But his taping, I have not had a flawed tumbler since I started using his taping method. So, and before it was hit and miss. And I tried everything. I tried the sublimate, rotate, sublimate, and then just do the ends. And that still didn't fix it. I tried everything. Anyway, back to this. So after you have sized your tumbler up here, you want to click on the design, hold your left mouse button down and drag it. You want to be able to see that white workspace all the way around the tumbler design. Epson ET2400s and any of the ET2800 series, so like 2800, 2850, whatever they are, those do not do borderless printing. So to make sure your entire image prints, you need to make sure that you have white around the edges. If you have an image, excuse me, where, like how on this, I've got black down here at the bottom, I've got black up here at the top, but I need it bigger than 8.2. You can extend it all the way up there to the edge. I mean, you can bring it all the way up here and you can bring it all the way down here to maximize just how much of it is going to print. Just know it's not going to print at 8.536. It's going to print at whatever the printer will allow it to print at. Okay, but it'll maximize however high you need it. So again, I center it because I trim everything off around the outside edge. Okay. And I want an overlap because I've got that ability to do that. After you've got your dimensions set right, go up here to File and Print. And I've got my sublimation printer selected. I go down to More Settings. I have presets that I've created. It shows you what my presets are. Okay. And so what you want, my page again, 8.5 by 11. So I make sure it matches, because if this is set to tabloid and you don't choose the tabloid size in here, which is 11 by 17. If you don't choose that same paper size in here, your image will not print correctly. So make sure that whatever you've chosen for your paper size, for the in document properties here, matches what you choose in this printer dialog box. Because this is just for you to size the image over here. This is what Inkscape is going to tell the printer, okay, so now this is what we're going to do when we print it. Okay, it's two very different things. So 8.5 by 11. Orientation, I want it on landscape. Paper type, I want premium presentation paper matte. All right. Quality, I want high quality. When we come down here, quiet mode off or on, that's your choice. I always select print preview. I will go over why when we get to that part. More options appear at the top. Under color correction, I select custom and advanced. Then under color management, controls, and I leave it on Epson Vivid. I have printed the Jennifer Maker Subly flower using both Epson Vivid as the setting. That was the first setting I tried when I got my printer out of the box and set it up. And I printed it and pressed it on 100% polyester. Then I downloaded the ICC profiles for my ink and my printer. And I went back, and with the ICC profiles properly installed, I then printed it again, the Subway flower again, using that image or that setting, and sublimated it on the exact same 100% polyester fabric. And the images were identical. Okay. Because before I got the Epson 2800, I was having all kinds of color issues. Things were just not coming out the way I wanted them to, and I really wasn't happy. So, and I was going with the whole switching this to the Adobe RGB and, changing these to whatever it is that everybody tells you to change it to. And my colors were so messed up. I could not get teal to save my life, man. I mean, like this color right here, it would be a light blue every single time. And, this color right here is different than this color right here. And I would have this color looking more like that. So that was not good. But using Epson Vivid, it was matching the ICC profile. I was able to take what the color hex code was on the Subly flower, input that, and that was what my color would turn out like. It also matched my laptop screen. So whatever I saw here on my laptop, that really was what my color would sublimate at. So for me, this works. If something else works better for you, fantastic. If you're just starting out, this might be a good place to start, just to see if it works for you. And then, you can tweak it from there if you have to, you know what I mean? So anyway, click on OK. And then under additional settings, you need to uncheck bidirectional printing. If you're printing and getting any kind of lines in your image, this is probably selected. If you have a Mac, there is a way to turn this off. It's a little bit more of a process, but bidirectional printing is basically the same thing as fast printing or high speed. You want anything high-speed printing turned off. You want this thing printing as slow as possible so that you get the best possible image quality, okay? I mirror everything, whether it has words or not, because then I know that I'm not going to forget to select mirror. It's just how my brain works. So you'll see I intentionally have a not mirrored landscape, and that's for like when I'm doing DTF printing or I'm doing, I can't remember exactly what it is, but this is basically when I'm doing something very specific where I definitely do not want it mirrored. So anyway, go back here. Print preview is selected. So it's going to take a minute for this to pull up. But the reason I use print preview is because it's going to be my final chance to double check to make sure I don't have any mistakes. If I do have something that's wording, it's going to be my final chance to check to make sure that it's mirrored. It's going to be my final chance to make sure that I have my paper set to landscape instead of portrait. It's going to be my final chance to make sure my entire image was within the workspace. So I recommend it. There's my printer settings while we're waiting for print preview to pull up. Again, yes, I know we set all those, the dimensions and all that stuff in Inkscape and had to redo the paper size and all that stuff when we went to print it. But it's because we were in Inkscape doing the artwork. And then when we send it to the printer, you might do the artwork in Inkscape or whatever your program is. But then when it comes time to print it, you might kind of go, no, I think I actually do want that to print this way instead. Or, I know I told it to work on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, but I'm actually going to, oh dang, I'm out of 8.5 by 11. I need to print this on my 8.5 by 14 paper because that's all I have left. So when you're going into the print settings, that's why you want to make sure all those settings are there as well. Okay. So now, because I selected print preview, this is what I'm going to see before I hit print to send it to the actual printer. This is the end that's going to come out of the printer first. That is the end that's going to come out last. I can see this is my actual 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. It's the image of it. I can see exactly how much of a border I'm going to have around my tumbler image. If I needed to make sure that it was mirrored, I'd be able to see that here. So, I'm looking at this specific image and going, okay, yep, that looks perfect. Let's go ahead and send it. And then I can hit print and I can print the image. If I had, and you could see that it was mirrored too, sorry. One of the reasons, actually, I'll just tell you this. So, reason you want to put it in the center of that document here is because anything, this is the line for where the paper comes down. Anything to the left of that is going to get cut off. If you don't have it over here. So anything on the outside of that white box will get cut off. That's the other reason I use print preview. Also, if you forget to change it from portrait to landscape, like I said, print preview can save you. I know there's people that have said they don't need it or that it's a waste of time. If you make a mistake and having that selected and taking an extra minute or two to wait for it to pull up to look at it, it's faster to wait for that to pull up than it is to wait for something to fully print, find the errors, and then go back and redo it all over again. So I would rather just use print preview. It doesn't cost me anything, so why not use it, right? If you've got any questions or need any help, I'm happy to do what I can, to try to do what I can. Best way to reach me right now is probably going to be through my Instagram page. I am going to work towards getting all of these videos on my YouTube channel. I have nothing on it. I just created it, but it's going to be Rainy Day Pours. And it's just going to be little videos like this because the day you see me on camera is never going to happen. So I'm just being honest about that. And eventually I'll have my website up. I'm hoping to have that done really soon. I'm in the stages of doing final tweaks on things, and then we'll be going live with my website. I don't know if I'm going to put these little videos on the website or not. Maybe someday I will. Um, but there would be a link for YouTube. And then I do have a contact us on the website that'll be up there. So you can message me through that too if you have questions. Um, but I don't have YouTube set to, or I have to figure out how to get YouTube set to let me know when I've got a notification. So contacting me through Instagram is probably better. I get notifications on my phone for that. So anyway, I hope this helped somebody out there. Have fun, good luck, and enjoy what you're doing. Bye.